Hey guys, welcome back to the Deep Woods Paranormal Podcast. My name is Matt Harvey. I'm the founder and lead investigator of Deep Woods Paranormal, coming to you live from our office and just talking today about some general things. A lot of people ask me, what is a personal experience? Well, personal experience is basically anything where we didn't get it on camera. You might have seen an apparition, and even though you had a video camera pointing straight forward, nothing shows up, or we don't document anything. You might have heard something. You might have heard footsteps. You might have heard a whisper. You might have heard somebody just talking. There's a lot of different instances where people have personal experiences, whether it be ghost hunting and Bigfoot research. A lot of the times we hear a scream. We're not prepared. We don't have an audio recorder. We're in the middle of setting up, and all of a sudden stuff starts to happen. We hear a scream. We hear a tree branch snap. We hear a growl. We hear something happen. That basically we just don't know what it is. And or you might see a Bigfoot. You've seen a Bigfoot, but yet you didn't have a camera, or by the time you got your camera up, the Bigfoot was gone. So those are just basically personal experiences. And we've in my experience, I've had thousands of personal experiences where I've seen apparitions. I've seen just Bigfoots. I didn't get on video, unfortunately. Underprepared. Now we're a lot more prepared. We know going in, hey, have a camera somewhere, have a GoPro in your head, have a GoPro in your hand, have something small. If you have one of those bigger cameras or even a cell phone in your hand, they pretty much will turn and run most of the time. And that's what their normal behavior is. They're usually just kind of curious to see what's going on. And as soon as you've alerted the Bigfoot to, hey, I see you, they're like, I'm out. So, or they'll just sit there and continue to try and look like a tree or something and just think that you don't know what they are, and which is fine. So, anyways, so that's what a personal experience is. UFO sighting, same thing. You saw something in the sky. Maybe you were driving or whatever. Something flew over, or you saw a flash in the sky. Something strange that you can't explain. That's the definition of a UFO. It's just an unidentified flying object. Doesn't necessarily mean it's an alien or some kind of spacecraft. It just means that you just didn't know what it was. So, that said, let's get on to talking about Martha's Chapel Cemetery. Martha's Chapel Cemetery is a place we've been. I know I've been out there 4 times, and we just went out there recently, and we're very disappointed by what had happened. Not sure who did it or why they did it, but the graves, a lot of the graves, at least in the front part of the cemetery, had been snapped, broken, just snapped in half, snapped into 3 pieces, pushed over, like literally out of the ground, the headstones. And then they egged the headstones, and they essentially toilet papered the whole cemetery. I don't understand the point of that. I mean, that's just so hateful. Why would you go out there and do that? I just, not to mention the fact that, well, when we made contact, and you'll see this on the show, we made contact with what seems to be a Civil War soldier. And I talked to a lady that has family members buried out there, and essentially she told me that she's seen the Civil War soldier, and she feels like his duty out there, and the reason he's still there, is because he's protecting the cemetery. He's keeping it safe. And so we asked him, are you angry right now? And then the K2 immediately lit all the way up and stayed lit up. And so, I mean, we were mad. I mean, I can't imagine how he felt, especially if his job was to protect the cemetery. So, I mean, it's just, I can't believe people would do something like that. So speaking of personal experiences, Amanda and I both witnessed this, and it probably won't be on the show, so we'll talk about it. I was in the back. She was sitting in the driver's seat. I didn't feel comfortable with her going wandering around the cemetery, not mainly because of any ghostly activity or even demonic activity. There's something over in the forest next to Martha's Chapel Cemetery. I'm not sure what it is. I've never actually physically seen it, but it's big, whatever it is. I mean, it was snapping branches. It was walking around as we were sitting there. And the people to my right, we actually met some fans, which was awesome. Thank you guys for showing up. That was really cool. I think our investigation was better because of it. But we met some fans while we were out there, and they could hear it too. And so they had some personal experiences that they talked about, and that'll be on the show as well. I don't want to get into that. But really cool location. I've had multiple experiences out there. And I'll go back because most of this probably won't be in the show. We had an experience where the very first time we went out there, we were out there real early in the day. We were walking around talking to people and just kind of getting their experiences. That's where we met some kids from Texas A&M, and they were telling us about an experience that they had out in the woods next to the cemetery. And we don't know if this is a Bigfoot, if it's a Dogman, if it's some kind of other creature. But he said he saw about a 10-foot tall Bigfoot-like creature that had the head of a cow. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's really strange. I've heard descriptions like that, but I've never heard of one that had the head of a cow. And so he goes, well, but I have a picture. And unfortunately, we didn't get a copy of that picture. He just showed it to us. And sure enough, there's a Bigfoot-like creature that looks like it has a head of a cow. So I have no explanation for that at this point. I don't know if he photoshopped something. I would seriously doubt it. He didn't seem like he was the kind of person that would do that. He was he had only showed it to a couple of people. He's never posted it online, and he said he never will. So, very strange picture. And then we've also talked to other witnesses that have also seen something out there. They didn't get a picture of it, but they've seen something like that out there. So, unfortunately, at this point in time, we're not going to get to go back out and do another investigation out there for a while. We're just so booked with investigations right now and with winter coming and the chance for possibly snow coming in, it's going to make it so much harder to go through there because it's like a swamp out there. I mean, literally, you're walking through mud, and when it rains and when it snows, it gets even worse. That area down there gets a little bit more rain than we do up here, up in the Bryan area. But it'd be very difficult to get down there in the snow. So maybe later next year, we'll get back out there and try and research that. Like I said, we're going to be going back to Joe's camp here shortly. For you Bigfoot enthusiasts, stay tuned on our YouTube channel. Joe is not only a client, he's kind of a member of our team now. We've been working with Joe for 2 years now, almost since we moved to Texas. And he's got Bigfoots that come through his property. I mean, he used to see them almost on a daily basis, and he would see not like one Bigfoot. He would see multiple Bigfoots, and he would see them standing on the edge of his tree line. And in fact, I just talked to him the other day, and he sees the same thing. But getting back into Martha's Chapel Cemetery, so we were there, and we walked around quite a bit, and unfortunately, we were asked to leave due to the circumstances of some stupid person or persons deciding to vandalize the cemetery. I can't even start to voice how frustrating that is. I mean, imagine if your family was buried there. I mean, coming there and you're visiting and you find that. I mean, that would be devastating. Number one. And then for us, paranormally wise, we believe in respecting everything and everybody. We don't we specifically don't do stupid things out there. We don't, sacrifice animals or anything else like that, or anything crazy to try and get activity. We don't use Ouija boards. We don't provoke. And, for something to do that, I mean, it stirred up a lot of emotion in the cemetery, I'm sure. Um, Once we did make contact with the spirits, they seemed angry. They seemed frustrated. Um, Unfortunately, I think we lost our audio because I didn't close the audio program right. Stupid mistake. Even for an investigator that's been doing this 26 years, 27 years, I just messed up the audio. Anyways, it happens. We still have video. We still have a lot of stuff. And I'll be putting the show together in probably about 2 or 3 weeks once I finish the old Park Hotel, which I'm excited to say I'm getting there. But we have about 100 hours of video to watch. We left a lot of cameras at the old Park Hotel just sitting and recording down hallways and bedrooms that we weren't in and stuff like that. And we were experiencing stuff like crazy. I mean, shadow people darting, apparitions, the smell of perfume, as Amanda claimed. I was smelling this god awful smell. It smelled like somebody had, and excuse my terminology, crap their pants. And in talking to Dave about it, he's like, "Yep, that's what the Cowboys smelled like back then." I mean, they would come in off the range and they hadn't had a shower for 2-3 weeks or longer, and they were not very. They didn't smell very good. So the first thing they probably would do is come in and get a bath. The women would probably have them take a bath before they would touch them or anything. But anyways, so yeah, Martha's Chapel Cemetery it's now been vandalized, which is really sad, really frustrating for us. I can't even imagine what the poor people that have family members buried in there. Those graves are over 100 years old. Most of them are getting up to 200 years old. Those grave markers have been there for a couple hundred years. And for somebody to go through and just do that, I'm so sorry to go on a rant, but I mean, it's just so irritating. So if you go into a cemetery, please don't do that kind of stuff. Be respectful while you're in there. You don't know what you're, messing with while you're in a cemetery. I mean, most cemeteries don't have a whole lot of apparitions. They don't have any activity at all, from my experience. The ones that do are usually because family members visit those graves a lot and they pay a lot of attention to them, and so they're there when people come. They seem to show back up when people come, and they do like to communicate, and they seem to like to hear their own voice. So we use the spirit box for, God, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, and nothing came through that spirit box. I mean, we had a couple little blips, but nothing at all. We didn't get any voices out of there at all. Nothing we could understand. I mean, there was 2 or 3 quick little, but you couldn't understand it. I mean, it could have just been the radio scanning through. So it just reinforces when we get stuff coming through the spirit box, it seems to be legitimate. The more I use this box, the more I seem to like it. The more I'm starting to learn, and the more I research now, the more questions I seem to have more than anything. Are these people stuck here? Are they coming through a portal? Are they coming through the veil, as they call it? Can we just not see them? Is it our spectrum of light? Are they crossing in and out of our time? Have they moved on to a different level in life? Have they, are they in heaven and coming back? And when we communicate, are they able to come back and talk to us? And manipulate our devices and stuff like that. It's just, there's so many questions that I have, and some of the things that have been coming through the spirit box lately are, you can hear me, they can hear me, at the killing fields. I mean, that came through. They can hear me. And it came through a couple times. And what's cool about the spirit box, I'm getting chills as I'm sitting here talking about this. I got goosebumps all down my arms. I don't know if you can see that. Look at that. Crazy. Feels like there's something standing my right behind me. So, with the spirit box, we're also getting what sounds like spirits talking to each other. I know it's supposed to only pick up on radio frequencies, but it seems like it's picking up on so much more. And so as we go, I would like to delve into it further. I'd like to get a little bit more understanding of how it actually works and stuff like that. I think maybe in the future we'll be talking to try and find people that are really like experts at the spirit box and have them give us some feedback, and maybe we can get some information from them that will help us continue to get better results with the spirit box. One thing one person told me was to put, an EM sleeve over it. And what that does, I'm sorry, not an EM sleeve, I forget what that's called now. But anyway, so you put this thing over the radio and it stops it from doing all the and instead clear voices are supposed to come out. And we tried that and nothing happened. Of course, well, it seems like the spirits there at Martha's Chapel just didn't have a lot of energy. We have these things called EM pumps. And all they do is they put out EMF. And what EMF is it's just a type of energy that, you can get from the microwave, you can get it from your wall. You can get it from anywhere for your cell phone. But this puts out a certain type of EMF that allows them to take that energy and manifest in some way. And if you're new to this, you're going, okay, what does manifest mean? Well, manifest means that basically they either can show themselves. You see an apparition. Maybe you see a shadow. Maybe you see a mist or a fog. Maybe you hear something. Maybe you see something. Maybe you get touched. Maybe your KII meter lights up or some other device lights up or sounds off. And there's so many devices out there. I'm not going to go through them all. But or they communicate through the spirit box. They actually come through and you hear a voice come through the spirit box that you can understand. And, I keep talking about the spirit box, but I'm starting to really like this device. So anyways, these are just random thoughts. But again, I just, it's just so disheartening to have seen all those graves just damaged like they were. They're severely damaged to the point where it's going to be really very, very difficult to put them back together if they do at all. Amanda and I were talking about getting a hold of the group that maintains the cemetery and see if we can help out in any way to try and clean up the headstones and maybe put them back together. I don't know if they can even do it, but these graves have been there forever and ever and ever. Almost 200 years, most of them. So, anywho, guys, we appreciate you listening. Sorry for the shorter podcast today, but we're right in the middle of so many investigations that if I start talking about those investigations, we'll essentially be giving away the show. And I just don't want to do that. I don't want to give away things that have happened in the shows until they're on our YouTube channel. And if you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, it's Deepwoods Paranormal. You can search us. You can through our website, or you can also go to our YouTube channel and see it there. I do sometimes post a link to our Facebook account as well, LinkedIn, Tumblr. We use all those things to post our videos. In fact, the video podcast for this show will go on our YouTube channel as well. So if you haven't visited our YouTube channel, We do not only podcasts, we do location scouts where we go and we meet with whoever's there at the location, be it ghost hunting or Bigfoot, or maybe we meet with witnesses. We hear their stories, and then we kind of check out the location. Maybe not doing a full-on investigation, but if they have like a ghost tour or something like that, we might take that with them and just get to know the location. And if possible, we set it up to become an investigation, a full on investigation where we use all our gear and we throw everything at it. So, and then we'll be doing gear reviews here shortly. We might do this as more of a podcast type thing, where I do the video podcast and also I do the audio podcast so people can at least listen to the gear review. So you guys can listen to that as well. And then also, like I said, we have our full-on investigations where we go in and we spend however long, either hours or days, or we continually research that location over and over and over again to see if we can get more and more data from that location. And by data, I mean evidence of paranormal activity, being whatever it is. Like Joe's Camp, we spent a year and a half researching at Joe's Camp. And like I said, if you haven't seen Joe's Camp on our YouTube channel, it's worth watching. There is a ton of possible Bigfoot evidence on there. Nothing's faked. Everything's 100% real. That was a creepy location, especially at night, because the Bigfoots would come in into his property, and he had those huge those huge pine trees, and they would literally come down behind the pine trees and look out at you. You could see them. You could see their eyes blink and stuff like that. So that was cool. And then, so yeah, lots of, some more ghost hunting. We're going to be going out to Galveston next January, and investigating out there for a while. And then we've got just multiple other cool locations coming to us as well. So you guys take care. Thank you guys again. One last thing on our Deep Woods Paranormal YouTube page. If you're watching the podcast, if you have not seen the other video, we will be giving away Deep Woods Paranormal hats like this. This is right off of our store. This is a snapback that we'll give away to when we get to 300 subscribers. So we're closing in on that. We're gaining about 3 or 4 viewers a day. 3 or 4 subscribers a day. So as people subscribe and we get to 300, we'll give the hat away. And then at 500 subscribers, we're going to do something better. Maybe a shirt and a hat, or maybe a sweatshirt and a hat, or something, whatever that person prefers. And then when we get to 1,000, we'll probably give away like 10 different things. Maybe some hats and some shirts and stuff off of our paranormal store. So if you haven't been to our paranormal store, go to the Deep Woods Paranormal page, deepwoodsparanormal.com, and go to our store. You can buy the merchandise that we wear out in the field, like a hat like this or the hat I just showed you. And we have sweatshirts, we have T-shirts, we have all different sizes for kids, toddlers, all the way up to adults. So, and sweatshirts too. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for listening to me ramble for whatever this is, 25 minutes. I really appreciate it. Next week, we'll have a different topic. We might be talking about UFOs. There's quite a bit of cool UFO things that have happened out here. And so we're going to be doing UFO research here shortly. And we'll get back to you then. You all have a good day.